Hello, welcome to this your channel, the Better Eurofan, that's me. Now it's the turn for Spain, having recently redeemed themselves with the outstanding and historic performance from Chanel in last year's contest, achieving a memorable third place and their best score record in all its participation. With this background, the bets were really high for the next artist that will take the task of representing the Iberian country, as surpassing that record will not be that easy. Even so, Spain continues with its participation, truly excited with this last result, proving now that they are a very serious contender to take into account. Coming up next, we will check out the artists who had the occasion of carrying the Spanish colors on the main stage of Liverpool. Here we go. For today's episode, I'm going to review the Spanish entry for Eurovision 2023, which has been represented by singer Blanca Paloma with the song Eaea, which in English does not have a specific translation. First of all, we will take a look at the biography and career of this novice artist before having her Eurovision experience. Blanca Paloma Ramos Baeza, mostly well known by her two names, is a Spanish singer, songwriter, stage designer and costume designer, coming from the city of Elche and currently living in the country's capital, Madrid. After having her degree as Bachelorette in Fine Arts, she moves to the capital in 2013 to pursue a career in the world of theater as a stage designer and a wardrobe manager. Through the years, that passion for music will flourish on her, which happened since 2021, composing the soundtrack of the television series Lucía en la telaraña, which could be translated in English as Lucía in the Spiderweb, produced by the Spanish Prologue broadcaster. That collaboration will suppose a turning point in her case, having been always in the backstage, and then eventually give a step to be the main artist. In fact, she started to do her first steps when she was announced as a contestant for the first edition of the new and rebranded Spanish national final, well known as Eurofans, last year, participating with one of the songs of the previously mentioned soundtrack, which also has been her first official single as an artist, placing 5th in the final show, with a victory achieved by Chanel in that first edition, as we already know. Eventually, that first participation in which she has presented herself as a soloist will encourage her to repeat the experience. What she could not imagine is that second attempt will be the chance for her for living by first-hand the experience of performing in a big stage like Eurovision. Having said this, let's check out how the Eurovision experience begins for the novice performer. The Spanish Prologue broadcaster will organize what it went to be the aforementioned and renewed national final Benidorm Fest to select the artist and the song that would represent the country on British soil. The selection mechanism has been exactly the same one from the first edition. In one hand, a submission period was open in early September of last year for Spanish artists and songwriters who wanted to take part in the competition, closing it by early October of last year. And in the other hand, the broadcaster will be also inviting to established artists in the Spanish musical scene at the same time. It was known after the deadline that 482 proposals were received from the open submission, and 394 proposals were directly sent by established artists, making a total of 876 proposals. An expert panel will be in charge of selecting the 16 participating entries that will compete in the national final, which later increased to 18, making the official announcement of the selected contestants in late October of last year, while the participating songs were officially released in late December. Blanca Paloma will be among them, having participated in the previous edition, as I have commented before. With the second edition, there will be a few changes in the format. First of all, as previously said, the number of contestants were increased, and the second and most remarkable one was in the composition of the jury. It will be increased from 5 to 8 members, 3 national members and 5 international members. all of them being professionals and experts in the music industry and the Eurovision world. This will prevent from what happened last year, with the controversy aroused after the accusations of cronyism and the lack of neutrality for the voting results. Beyond the format and the shows, the national final would also become a huge event involving the city of Benidorm and its visitors, with many activities during the music festival week, as it is done already during the Eurovision week, including an opening ceremony with an orange carpet, concerts and parties organized by both the broadcaster and private companies, as well as the airing of special shows, expanding the coverage of the national final. At first, Blanca was an underdog in the competition for the bronze microphone, but she had the advantage of knowing already the dynamics of the national final after participating in the first edition. Blanca makes her first appearance in the second semi-final, winning it thanks to the jury and the public, being a finalist once again like in the first edition. Then, during the final show which took place on early last February, after the performances of all the finalists, the voting results revealed that Blanca Paloma was the absolute favorite. She had the highest scores from the expert jury, the demoscopic jury and the public, which granted her the victory in the national final without any doubt, giving the surprise like Chanel did on last year, and gaining after 2 attempts the right of representing Spain on Liverpool. Shortly after her victory in the national final, Blanca will start working and preparing for the promotional tour in many European cities, participating in most of the Eurovision pre-parties of the season, and also in the recording and production of the official music video, which will be released in early last March. A new definition for modern flamenco made in a majestic way. Now here comes the analysis according to what she has presented in her proposal. The melody combines flamenco with electronic music, following the musical style of her first 2 singles, which are part now of her musical identity. I had to admit that the song does not catch you out at first listening, but as long as you get to understand the background from it, you can recognize the value and the art in the composition of the track. Blanca has already proved in the first edition of Eurofans that she has a very powerful voice. She has such a vocal quality which transmits a lot of mysticism, and it is very hypnotic. About the background of the lyrics, having been written by her together with 2 additional songwriters in Spanish with a strong Andalusian accent, it is described as a homage to her roots, celebrating the strength and courage of her female ancestors, representing at the same time a chant to her late grandmother Carmen, who was her inspiration in her childhood and who introduced her to flamenco. Blanca has also commented that she has also been inspired mostly in the renowned Spanish author and playwright Federico García Lorca, who focused his work in the poetic movement of neo-popularism, mainly focused on the rediscovering of the traditions and the folk roots. Reading the lyrics in detail, it is a lullaby, where there are many symbolisms and metaphors commonly used by Lorca in his work. The moon representing the death, the night representing the unknown, or the boy representing innocence and naivety. The fact of being a lullaby is also intentional, as it represents a spiritual connection with her late grandmother. From that, the strong symbolism of the song for her. Talking about the message of the song, it pretends to be a homage to flamenco, as part of the Spanish traditional culture with an avant-garde touch, acclaiming that legacy transmitted for generations. Having reviewed the song, now I'm going to analyze the official music video release for this proposal. More than a plot, there is a conceptual video in this case. At the beginning, Blanca is seen with some flamenco singers and dancers, while there are some red fabrics hanging up and blue by the wind in a background with orange tones. During the first verse and the first chorus, there are shots of Blanca sitting down, with many chairs and many lighted candles around her in a place mostly in dark, making an allegory to the sleepless nights related to the chorus. And also there are the flamenco singers and dancers doing flamenco moves. There is also that brief shot with Blanca making gestures with her hands like a bowwoman, gesture that will also use as part of her signature pose as an artist. During the second verse and the second chorus, the scene changes and Blanca is seen with the flamenco singers and dancers, sitting down in many chairs with a white background, while she performs flamenco moves from the chair. 2 more shots outstand with a lot of symbolism. First, there's a red fabric sliding by Blanca's hand, and when the fabric is about to leave her hand, she tightly grabs it. This symbolizes the legacy of flamenco transmitted through her ancestors, aiming to continue that legacy for the future generations. Later, Blanca is seen walking on dimly lit, until there is a moment when a spotlight enlightens her face and her right hand. This could be interpreted in many ways, but from my point of view, it represents that mystical connection with her grandmother Carmen even having passed away. Shortly is seen both Blanca and the flamenco singers and dancers getting off of the chairs, which, according to herself, it represents that moment when she started to take her spot as an artist, with many years being on the backstage, which is particularly quite personal to her in this case. In the last chorus, it goes back to the initial scene, with Blanca stepping to the front, while the flamenco singers and dancers gathered in a circle around her, where there are more flamenco moves. Then later is seen a close-up of Blanca closing the fist in her left hand, while the shot gets slowly wide, looking herself surrounded by the flamenco singers and dancers as the performance finishes. Making a summary of all the comments, the Spanish entry for this year is an authentic work of art. It is true that it is a quite daring proposal, taking into account the precedence with the Spanish entries which have featured flamenco at the contest. In fact, during the press conference with Blanca after winning the national final, she has mentioned that her victory was a wake-up call to the injustice done to Remedios Amaya, who were the Spanish representative in 1983 in the edition held on Munich, West Germany, where she placed last without scoring a single point. Even so, knowing beforehand that proposals with a folk touch have been much appreciated by the audience in these recent years, the risk was still present in which two situations could occur, or being widely voted or being not liked at all. It was about to see in this case how the audience will react to this proposal. Recalling the staging international final, Blanca is seen at first in a close-up, while a spotlight was making a darker light effect in her silhouette. By the first burst, the shot moves away, where her outfit is seen, which is a sort of burgundy corset, from which black stripes are entwining her left arm onto her left hand, combined with white pants. There is a sort of tunnel with red fringes, where some hands are seen doing claps to the rhythm of the song, like in any flamenco performance. During the chorus, she gets to the center of the red fringed tunnel, surrounded by her flamenco singers and dancers in circle, while there are some spinny shots with all of them inside the structure of the red fringed tunnel. This prop has a very special meaning, as Blanca has commented that the fringes remind of the outfits worn by her grandmother when she was alive, and at the same time it shakes a womb, representing that female empowerment through her ancestors. There is a moment when Blanca sings, being knelt on one of her knees, with a shot from above, while there is a white spotlight on her, representing the moon referenced during that part of the song. By the second verse, the performance still goes on outside the red fringed tunnel, with many claps and a contemporary dance made by the flamenco dancers, which reminds the action of rocking a baby. During the second chorus, they move to the front of the stage, with the flamenco singers and dancers staying hall while still performing. Blanca is seen again knelt on one of her knees, this time getting up very slowly, followed later by her doing her signature Po Woman pose, which was later seen in the music video. In the last chorus, red glints were seen in the visual graphics, adding drama and mysticism to the performance. Moving on later to a platform in a side of the stage, the flamenco singers and dancers gather around Blanca, which is stepping up on the platform, singing a long-lasting note, with a focus on her left hand, closing the performance in the moment she closes the fist of her hand. I have to admit that it was not of my favorites during the national final, but after witnessing this performance, which was so hypnotic and so impactful, with an outstanding vocal extravaganza, neither losing her breath or missing a single note, I had the feeling that she could be a dark horse, and I wasn't wrong indeed. It is also remarkable that it was the only artist that has recreated this proposal in many different versions and arrangements during the weeks before the contest, with every performance being so unique and different, surprising with such versatility and art, the way she has promoted her entry throughout Europe. But ahead of the contest, she assured that it will be pretty similar to the national final with some improvements, so maybe there could be some surprises in the performance. Talking about the staging on Liverpool, by the way, it could be seen during the rehearsals that she will recreate exactly the same one she has done in the national final, although scaled and adapted to this stage. Watching her live performance in the grand final, some extra elements could be seen. The red fringed tunnel will be much lighter compared to the one used in the national final, so they could be easily transportable. The spotlights will be more energetic during the chorus, and the most outstanding detail was the particular maroon bodice worn by Blanca, which has been sculpted in Blanca's torso as it has been revealed, making her look like a true bow woman, symbolizing the armor protection that evokes to the heart. In fact, it is heart-shaped indeed, and at the same time those passions that are exposed. It was also seen the use of the white spotlight towards Blanca's left hand, in a similar way like in the music video, representing as well the mystical connection with her grandmother. And in the final part, the platform was located at the front of the stage, with the flamenco singers and dancers surrounding her in the same way until the end of the performance. It has been a performance as spectacular and hypnotic as in the national final, but it was still about to see how it will be reflected in the votes. At first, she was very well appreciated by the juries, placing 9th by the moment, so there were some expectations. But the big surprise came when it was known that Blanca came last in the televoting results, going down considerably in the ranking and then finishing in the 17th place. The result was totally unexpected for many, even having watched the impressive quality with which the proposal has been presented, and also being one of the favorites of the edition. However, there is an important reflection to remark. I have commented before that this was a daring proposal, and unfortunately the worst scenario did happen, as it was not too voted by the public. But this has to do with the comments at the beginning of the review. For the Eurofans and the music professionals, it is acknowledged the musical and artistic value of the proposal. But for the general public who was listening to song for the very first time, it was not that easy to assimilate. These kind of songs are mostly much more appreciated in a live performance, rather than listening to them with your headphones and singing them out loud, to be honest. And that has had definitely influence in the final result. In fact, Blanca herself has stated after her Eurovision experience that, beyond the place in the final ranking, she has felt truly satisfied with the work done and the final outcome of the performance, without losing her mood all the time, and encouraging to more artists to keep presenting more folk-oriented proposals in the future. And I think she's totally right. About her musical career, during the promotional tour of her proposal, she has also released her 4th single, and if it was not enough, it was known recently that she signed a record deal with a renowned worldwide record label to start working in her debut studio album, so she will be quite busy in the coming months. It is supposed that the song which she has participated at the contest will be included, and later she will embark on a tour to promote her first recording work. And you, what do you think about the Spanish entry for this year? Come on and leave your comments down below to keep enriching the discussion. And this is it for today's episode. As usual, I remind you to give a like to this video if it has been of your taste, as well as you can subscribe to my channel, enable notifications, and follow me through my social media. Take care and see you in the next episode. Bye bye.